whoa.
What's the problem?
This
What's the matter?
This is not a Jet show.
So what?
So how about this?
Manning lobs it. Boris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Oh, come on. I don't want to hear this.
Why not? Super Bowl champions.
Doesn't matter. I just don't want to hear it.
What do you want to hear?
How about some Mets?
Hey, if I can find one good thing that happened to the Mets, here we go.
Home run. Mike Piazza. And the Mets lead 3-2.
Oh, yeah. It's got to be, I'm sorry. We all can't be like the Yankees.
Oh, speaking of.
This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Goodbye, home run. Don Mattingly.
No. God, I can't believe I just said that. All right, well, listen. How about a little Nets?
If I have to.
Kid, the jumper to win it. He got it.
I can't take it. I can't take it anymore. It's been a second. I can't take it. How about some Knicks?
Oh, yeah. Big spenders. Can't win a playoff.
Fair enough.
Houston pops out up top, down the lane, running jumper off the front rim and in.
I guess we should talk a little hockey, no?
You believe I watch hockey anymore?
They watch the Rangers.
Well, if you have the Rangers, you gotta have some Islanders.
Yeah, no, they didn't have YouTube in the 80s.
All right, let's get the show started.
Here we are, polar opposites.
Hello and welcome to the Polar Opposites podcast, live on Strong Island TV. You could also find us at polaropposites.podbean.com. We're on iTunes, we're on Spreaker, we're on TuneIn.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere, yeah, and Twitter at Polar Opposites 1. I'm Matt Stevens. Alongside me, as always,
Is Craig Moffat.
and Craig.
Maddie, man, I got a little scared. I almost had to do the show solo.
You did almost have to do the show solo, and that's because apparently the Long Island Railroad, okay, see, here's the thing I don't understand about technology, right? We have a car that's on Mars, right, that I can tell, somebody here could tell them what to do on Mars, and the car does it. But we haven't figured out the slippery track problem. We haven't figured out how leaves cause tracks to slip. And don't show me on the little app, okay, Jack Wagons? Oh, this is how we combat that. No, because you didn't combat it. You didn't. You lost. You lost because you had to cancel trains, so you didn't combat it. What you're doing doesn't work. Change what you're doing. Yeah.
Now,
Anyway.
I take the LIRR every day to go to work,
Yes.
so I'm used to this. You're
Well, no,
not
but-
because you
but-
live in Manhattan.
But I take the subway, and the subway's just as bad.
Well,
It's
they have
just,
the trash
I can,
on the subway,
Right, but
that's
the thing is I can walk most places because where
Yeah.
I live in Midtown. But that's besides the point. Let's talk sports. There's a lot to get to. We're going to start off with a new segment. Well, not really a new segment. It's how we're going to wrap our local stuff into one section, and then we're going to leave most of the national stuff to halftime and polar bipolar.
And this is our segment. It's called Local 6.
It is
And
indeed.
so we are going to focus on the 6 teams right now, excluding the Rangers and Islanders right now.
You know what we forgot to do?
What do we get?
We forgot to give the phone number. It's 516-945-9099, 516-945-9099. Get on the line. Mets, Jets,
Giants,
Nets,
Knicks,
Islanders,
whatever you wanna
Giants,
talk about.
Knicks, Yankees,
LI
and everything else.
and the LIRR as
Indeed.
well. Okay, Maddie, let's get started.
Let's do
As
it,
of
let's do it.
course, the big news of the week.
Yes.
In case
Well,
you're
there
living
was a
under
lot
a
of
rock.
big news of
Well,
the
there was a
week,
lot of big news, but this
right?
was probably the one that takes the cake
the
at this
least
point.
shocking of the news?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, maybe shocking in the way that it went down
Right,
because
sure.
it's so late in the season.
Right.
But the Giants fired Ben McAdoo and Jerry Reese.
They did.
And after a loss, which they really played terrible in Oakland.
Yes. No,
You know,
they
I didn't
did
think
not.
it was a bad game. I thought the defense played decent, even though they got burned a little bit, and that was without Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree for the Raiders.
Right.
But overall, I thought they played okay. It was just the Eli Manning thing had just left a terrible taste in everybody's mouth. Giant fans, owner, you know, even though he was kind of in on it from what you can tell, but you don't really know because someone seems like they're...
Well, no, there was only one problem, right? Let's be fair. The Eli Manning thing comes down to one problem for me, and that's simple. If they would have said, hey, we're sitting Eli Manning for Davis Webb, I guarantee you 70% of those people would have been like, okay, I can deal with that. But Geno Smith, no.
But
We all know what Geno Smith is.
Okay, but here's my personal favorite from McAdoo. And like, you know, listen, McAdoo, spare me the grease back hair like you Pat Riley. I don't want to, like, it was just, watching his press conferences were just tough because he just looked so defensive after every single question.
Well, but that's the thing too. Is like, look, let me give a little note to all the NFL coaches out there, and NBA coaches, and any coach really. There's only one Greg Popovich, and there's only one Bill Belichick. Those are the only two guys that are out to be kind of jerks to the press because they're so good. They've won so much. They have carte blanche to sort of do that without any repercussions. McAdoo tried to act like Bill Belichick. He's got an ankle. I know he's got an ankle, you jerk. What the hell's wrong with his ankle? How long's it going to be till he comes back? You don't get to say he's got an ankle. You haven't built up that cred yet. You haven't.
The LARR needs to be late more often because when this guy's angry, he's on fire.
But am I wrong?
Here's my only issue was
Jackass.
after he made the announcement to
Yes.
City Live for Gino, he
Yes.
had the nerve to actually say, we want to see what Gino can do.
Yeah.
And I think those were his exact words. All you have to do is watch tape of the Jets from under Rex Ryan to know what Geno Smith can do, which is not much.
I tweeted it out to the Giants. It was good, 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 turnover, good, fumble, good, good, good,
Fumble at the goal
bad
line.
pass,
Fumble at the goal line.
good, strip sack.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. Because he actually, again, he's one of those quarterbacks. He can make the throws.
Yes.
No one can doubt he can make the throws.
Yes.
But the problem is he always has those back-breaking turnovers, and it comes with the territory when you were a former Jet because Geno did it, Mark Sanchez did it.
Well, yeah, exactly.
They all do it. So I mean.
Real quick, I'm going to do
Go ahead.
real quick on McAdoo, and I just want to say one thing about Geno real quick, and we can stop talking about Geno Smith forever. If I'm a team, Geno Smith would be a great backup. A guy who
agree.
has to come in when the starting quarterback gets injured, and he's got to come in, he's got to play a half. He can make plays, and he can be good for you as a backup. He's not a starter.
No.
The person I have the bigger problem with here, and I'm so glad he's gone, is Jerry Reese. Because yes, Jerry Reese did make some good signings. He did make some good draft picks. But the problem with Jerry Reese is he had blind spots for positions that made no sense. He had a blind spot for linebacker. He had a blind spot for tight end until this year. Do you realize that Eli had like 7 different starting tight ends in his 10 years?
And then
until
this year they signed 2.
And then
they
yeah,
signed
this year they
Ellison
got
and they
he
drafted
had
Ingram.
and he had a blind spot for offensive line. He either thought way too much of his own draft picks and was so completely pompous and thought that he could do no wrong, that these guys should have stayed, or he just didn't understand football, which it's not the second one, so it has to be the first one. So goodbye, Jerry Reese, and go somewhere else and screw up their offensive line because I'm glad you're gone.
We're going to jump back into the Giants a little bit later because
Yes.
one thing I've always noticed is whenever the Jets fire a coach or any New York team fires a coach or the GM,
Right.
the media always seems to have the plan to fix the team.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We got a plan.
So there's always, here are 5 ways to fix the Jets, 10 ways to fix the Rangers.
Yeah.
So this morning I was reading Gary Myers from New York Daily News.
Yeah.
And he has
Sorry.
he has the 10-point plan to fix the Giants.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. We'll get into it later, but we'll just leave it at this. They don't need 10 points to fix the Giants. There's not 10 problems on the New York Giants
Nope.
right now. Okay? There was just basically a mishandling of a Hall of Fame quarterback and a couple of areas where you just have to plug some holes. But other than that, the Giants are still a pretty competitive team, and they play in the NFC East, which I always think they have a great chance of winning because the Cowboys haven't been great, the Redskins haven't been great, and while the Eagles are good, you see when they lose to Seattle,
They played a good
everybody
team and
starts to doubt them and second guess them.
They played a good team and lost. There you
So,
go.
let's jump into
Yes.
the Jets. They get another win. They
Good
beat the
win,
Chiefs
yep.
38-31. Great game. Basically, at this point, the Jets are 5-7, and let's call it what it is. The playoffs are unrealistic.
Oh, yeah.
They're
not- no, no, no.
unrealistic. So we can read all the articles like they still have a chance, but at this point, it's unrealistic. And at this point, if you're a Jet fan, do you really want them in the playoffs right now?
No,
as
it'd
a
be bad for
6?
next year.
Yeah, I would rather them just kind of, even if it means going 7-9 or whatever, on the outside looking in at this point. Because look, one thing I've noticed is they're starting to build the foundation. You're starting to see some young guys really kind of get into their own, take a big step forward. Guys like Jordan Jenkins, guys like Robbie Anderson,
Right.
even a guy like Safarian Jenkins, who's been a little bit non-existent in the passing game and everything. So here's my first question for
Yes.
you. At 5-7 right now,
Mm-hmm.
and you still have to play the Broncos, the Saints, the Chargers, and the Patriots.
Okay.
Has Todd Bowles done enough to keep his job?
Absolutely. Absolutely, he has
Okay.
done enough because not forget about the record. With the exception of maybe the Raider game,
Yeah.
they've been in every
been
game.
competitive in every game.
They've had at least a chance in the third or fourth quarter to get within one score or tie the game in every game except for the Raider game. And that was just one of those random things where you had the drop punt on the 6 yard and it just snowballed. So with the exception of that game, and that's one game, yes, absolutely. And we now know that last year wasn't Todd Bowles' fault either.
No.
It was all the guys that they jettisoned
But they-
who ruined that locker room.
But they clear out the deadwood.
Yep.
They get rid of Mangold, Revis. The list goes on and on. Okay. They right before the season starts, they bring in Jermaine Kearse, which turned out to be a great trade.
Great
I think
trade.
for both teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not even just talking about the Jets because the Jets They were able to get out from under
No, but for
Sheldon Richardson
Seattle-
because Sheldon Richardson probably wasn't going to re-sign with them anyway.
Right.
And on top of that, you get a receiver that was kind of falling out of favor in Seattle because they have so many other guys on that team. And then on top of that, you get a second-round pick. Then you bring in a guy like Jeremy Curley. Then you bring in, you bring in a few other players. And then, of course, it segues to quickly on Bowles. Yes, I do think he deserves to keep his job. I think the whole coaching staff should be back next year.
Absolutely. And the
Okay,
GM.
I think Morton has done a great job as offensive coordinator in his first year. While, listen, he's had some hiccups along the way, which is common for guys trying, their first year as a coordinator. But he's taking shots downfield. And what it's doing is, in many ways, it's building Robbie Anderson's confidence where now he's able to get up for those balls. Now he can get some separation on the cornerbacks. And, he makes tough catches in transition. And that's been huge. You have him, you have Kearse, Safarian Jenkins, Hanson, the list goes on. But overall, I think Bowles has done, and the thing is, they're focused. They play hard outside of the fact that they're just a little undisciplined with the penalties that come at
But
really
that's every team.
brutal
That's
teams.
what you watched
But it's
last night. I mean, that's every
But again,
team
it's
is
a crucial
undisciplined.
time. But it's funny how 1 week people, the minute the Jets lose, it's a disgrace, it's a horror show and everything. And then when they win, it's like you're praising them left and right.
That's 24-hour news cycle.
Which leads me to my
nonsense.
next question.
Yes.
Josh McCown.
Yes.
Another solid game.
Yes.
3 touchdowns, two rushing, 2 on like QB
Yes.
sneaks.
10-year contract.
Well, I'm getting there, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
go that far.
Yeah. No,
Does
I wouldn't resign.
the team consider bringing him back next season?
I mean, you have to, right? You have to consider bringing him back, but you also have to, while bringing him back, have somebody to take over. He's going to be 40, right? He's 39.
He'll be 39.
Oh, he'll be 39. Oh, it doesn't matter. There's a guy who's got a lot of miles on him. He's missed a lot of games with injuries. So, yes, you can bring him back, but you can only do that with a hope for the future if you have somebody behind him who he can sort of mold into being a good quarterback.
Here's what I'll say about.
I
here's
don't
what
know
I'll say.
anything else.
You can think about it, but here's what I know about Josh McCown. There's not going to be a ton of teams lining up for his services, and if they do, it's going to be more as a
Well,
backup.
they'll get him on the cheap.
Okay, they'll get him on the cheap, but he's not going to be one of those guys that signs day one. Okay.
Right.
So in my opinion, this is my plan because right now the way the Jets are looking, it's not looking good that they're going to wind up with Darnold or Rosen, depending on how everything goes with the draft too, because we don't really know what other teams are thinking right now. My strategy is they're going to have a lot of money in the cap. I make a push for Cousins. I make a push for Kirk Cousins because you're not going to get, but I still draft a young quarterback in the second round. Like I love Baker Mayfield from Oklahoma. I would definitely draft Baker Mayfield. You can easily argue he's better than Darnold or Rosen right now. Okay, he's been pretty much lights out for Oklahoma. Now
I
listen,
can also argue that he's Johnny Manziel, but hey.
that's fair.
You
Listen,
know, with
everybody
his
has
size
their
and his
opinion, but in my
attitude.
opinion, I like the guy, and I actually think he'd be a pretty good quarterback. But if you're not going to get Darnold or Rosen, you got to get somebody. So at this point, listen, if you want to bring McCown back, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I think it's okay. But at the same time, you have to look at what else is out there because what if McCown wants multiple years? Are you really going to go that far for him? And
Depends on what the money
So-
and the cap hit is. That's all.
So fair enough. So basically, look, at this point, it's the Jets are playing with house money. We can both agree. Hopefully they beat the Broncos. This easily looks like a game they could lose on Sunday, but I could definitely see them winning that game because the Broncos look like they've completely mailed it in. But outside of that, you got to love what they're doing this year. Just the way they're developing, taking that step forward, I think has been really, really, really big for them. Maddie, let's segue to the Yankees.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yankees after
An
about a month or
exhaustive
two of
search.
seclusion.
Exhaustive
search when they didn't really tell anybody what was going on. The Yankees decide to hire Aaron Boone.
Yes.
Now, one thing you saw with the Yankee candidates is outside of Hensley Mullins, really none of them had managerial experience.
Eric Wedge.
Oh, Eric Wedge. Okay, I forgot about Eric
Wedge.
Wedge. Okay, but nobody really seemed to think he was a good fit for the Yankees.
No.
So here's the thing. Aaron Boone is the new manager of the Yankees.
He
He'll be
is.
introduced tomorrow at a press conference at
Yes,
noon.
indeed.
He gets a 3-year deal. Here's my question. Do you think it's a solid hire, or is this just a Cashman lackey?
Well, anybody who's going to take the job is going to be a Cashman lackey. Like, that's just the way it is. So you have to deal with that. But I don't know if it's a good hire. I honestly don't know. I can't tell you anything. I can tell you that he knows a lot about baseball. I can tell you that he seems like a really good guy. I can tell you that he's good with the media because he's been in the media and he's also played in New York. But I can't tell you how he's going to be as a manager because he's never managed before. Now, this is a guy who grew up in clubhouses because his dad played, his brother played, his grandfather played. Like, everybody in his whole family played, but nobody can tell you anything because we don't know. So all we have to go on is this. He's going to make 90% of the same moves that Joe Girardi made last year because it's by the book. It's going to be the other 10%.
Right.
Those are going to be the moves of Girardi taking Severino out in the first inning of the wild card game. Do you know what I mean?
Will Boone have the itchy trigger finger?
Well, no, not itchy, but will he know to make that move?
Right.
Will he think I have to stay with Severino? Will he know? Like, that's a move that goes against the sabermetric thing, is pulling the guy in the first inning, right?
Yeah.
So like, that's a move you just have to make. But we'll see. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows, but he's a good guy. So I think his temperament is right. And from what you hear about him as a person, that's right. Other than that, nobody has any idea.
It's not the most exciting hire. And to be very honest, I don't really know who would be a good fit with the Yankees, because the way the guys were interviewed, Beltran, Chris Woodward, Hensley Mullins, Boone,
I
and
think Woodward's managed in the minor leagues.
I think Thompson was one of the first, and he wound up going to the Phillies after they hired Boone.
And Al Padrique went to the A's.
And he went to the A's as
former
third base
AAA,
coach.
Manager.
So Matt's right in a way. At this point, you don't know what you have with him yet. I think it's going to be a bit of an adjustment period to start. Now listen, the Yankees will have Judge, they'll have Sanchez. Their lineup will be pretty much set for next year, okay, with Bird and Gregorius and Starlin Castro and and everything. So listen, he's got the talent, and this is a team that's probably is going to take that proverbial step. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're favored to win the World Series this year by plenty of writers.
See, I don't think you could do that.
Okay.
The Astros are just the same team.
No,
so
again,
how could
but
you make
I'm
the
just
Yankees
saying, like,
the favorite over the Astros? But
you know,
that's
Again,
besides the
right now the Astros are the team to beat because they are the World Series champions.
And let me just say this for
Okay.
everybody: do we have Ohtani and the other stuff or no?
We have that later.
Okay,
during
sorry.
the-
Yes, we'll do that later.
So again, good hire for the most part. I don't know what he's going to bring. I don't think any Yankee fan
Nobody
knows what
knows.
he's going to do.
It's
but
impossible to know.
But what I kind of expect is a bit of an adjustment period. I feel like it's going to be the first month is going to be a bit of a kind of like a feeling out process because he's going to be new to it. And again, you're managing not only young players, but you're managing some egos on
Yeah,
that team too.
and it'll be interesting to see who his bench coach is.
Yeah. All right, let's segue to the Mets.
Do we have?
Yes, we do. Okay.
fair enough.
It's local six, man.
I apologize.
And since you don't know anything about hockey, we can't do that.
I know that there is a puck.
You know that the Rangers play at Madison Square Garden.
Yes,
That's about all you know.
that is true. And that the Islanders play in Brendan Byrne Arena.
They play in Jesus.
kidding.
You're a disaster. Okay, so the Mets are basically the hot stove news and everything is they're looking to possibly upgrade at first base. So they're throwing around names like Logan Morrison, Carlos Santana, and the one name I don't want, Adam Lind. Okay, but here's my question: Is it too early for them to give up on Dominic Smith? Now remember, he had a month. And in that month, listen, was he good?
Here's the problem with that
No.
month, though. But here's the problem with that month. That's the month you should be good because most of the guys, like you're facing a lot of guys that are call-ups too. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I wouldn't yet, but if you can get Carlos Santana, you sort of have to, right? And
I would love Carlos Santana.
if
Logan
you
Morrison,
get him,
I
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
mind
do it.
either. Lind, I think, is more of a reserve guy. I don't think he's
I'd
a
be
guy who
very
plays every
afraid of
day.
Logan Morrison off the 1 year.
That's fair. Listen,
Be
that
very afraid of Logan Morrison off the. Carlos Santana is the only one on that I can expect certain numbers from him and know I'm going to get those numbers.
the thing about Lind is, like, I think Lind is a good hitter and he was decent with the Nationals and everything. But the fact is, he's not an everyday first baseman to me. So I need an everyday guy. Now, listen, I don't know if Dominic Smith is that guy.
Unless you want to platoon Lind and.
But are they both lefty?
No, I'm talking about Lind and. Dang it, he plays all the positions in the infield.
Flores.
If you want to do that, you can.
Yeah, and I always hear about doing this and it never happens.
Well, then that's the
okay?
Mets being the Mets. What can I tell you?
Now, one other question.
Yes.
Would you consider bringing back Jay Bruce?
No.
I wouldn't either.
No. Silly. Makes no sense. You have a glut. You don't need him.
But I think it's more of like not really a changing of the guard. I think you're just kind of bringing back the same guys because they're talking about bringing back Neil Walker.
No, don't do it.
I don't want to bring back
Move
these
on.
guys. I mean,
Move
we
forward.
traded away Jay Bruce. He's going to want a lot of money on the market. If the Mets aren't going to willing to spend the money, I just don't even think he's going to be as good.
No.
I mean, coming back, especially if it's like a 4-year deal or a 5-year
So
deal
why
or
would you
anything like
leave the
that, that's what he's
Indians?
going to probably want.
Why would you leave the Indians?
So I would rather pass. Maybe it's just because they don't really know what Conforto's going to bring to, if he's going to be healthy to start the season and everything and so forth. Let's segue to the Knicks real quickly. Knicks lost again last night.
Yes.
They're not playing tonight, right?
No.
They lost to Orlando Sunday, lost Indiana Monday.
Yes.
What worries me about the Knicks right now, the injuries. Okay.
Well, I mean,
now listen,
it's-
injuries are part of the game, especially in basketball, because
Mm-hmm.
they just nag all season long. Doesn't matter the player a lot of times. Once it's like a foot injury, knee injury, it just kind of prolongs the entire season. And the guys try to play through it. They eventually can. What worries me is with Kristaps Porzingis because I just think he gets hurt a little too much for my taste.
I mean, a guy landed on his ankle. What are you going to do? The same thing happened to Steph Curry, and he was out walking on crutches the next day. But actually, Porzingis didn't make the trip last night because of an illness, not because of the ankle. So
And now
we'll
you
see.
have-
To me, it's more Tim Hardaway Jr. That's the worst.
they're saying it's a stress injury, and it
which
could be a
means
lot longer.
Just sit down for the rest of the season because the Knicks aren't doing nothing, and I don't need you breaking your legs. So there you go.
But as a fan, like
Yeah.
you're a Knicks fan.
Yes.
When do you start to worry about these things? Like when Kristaps Porzingis is constantly missing games, even if it's just 1 or 2 games here and there.
You can point to maybe 5. Like there's maybe 5 guys who don't miss games, right? Mm-hmm. When you talk up just rest and missing games because of injury and whatnot.
Right.
And they're the best players in the league. Everybody else, guys miss games. What are you going to do? Do I like it? No. But this is one of those random things. Guy takes a jump shot, he rolls his ankle. It happens all the time. Kawhi Leonard still hasn't come back. Now, I know he ended up hurting his quad, not the ankle, which happened last year in the playoffs, but still, it's always about that, and that's just the way it is. And I'm worried about the team because I didn't think the team was going to be good anyway, so it's not like I'm really worried about them now. They got our hopes up, guys got injuries, now they're losing. It'll even out in the end.
All right, one more minute. We'll spend a minute on the Nets.
Yes.
Okay.
Must-
'Cause
yes.
That'll be 1 minute more
Yes.
than anybody is spending on the Brooklyn
Indubitably.
Nets. And because I'm a huge fan.
Yes, do it.
So they win last night.
Yep.
They beat the Hawks.
Yep.
And everything. They get Crab back. They get Hollis Jefferson
Yep,
back.
yep.
Okay. Again, another team really suffering with injuries
Sure,
because
absolutely.
D'Angelo Russell's
Yep.
been hurt. Jeremy Lin out for the season with the patella tendon tear. Russell just had arthroscopic surgery. They don't really know when he's coming back. So the point guard is really thin. However,
Mm-hmm.
they are getting quality production of guys like Spencer Dinwiddie and even Isaiah Whitehead, coming up from the G League has actually played pretty well. My question with the Nets right now is right now they're 9-14.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In the East, they're fighting for the 8th spot.
Sure,
Am
of
I
course,
right?
Absolutely, absolutely. they
Okay.
are.
So here's my question. Now, the goal of the season is basically to make sure that pick is not like a top 3, top 4 pick, right?
Right,
Let's say
sure.
go to see because anything after 4 or 5 is a crapshoot.
Right.
Do you think the Nets should make a trade to strengthen the roster at this point, or just kind of stick with the plan of just developing the young guys until next year when they get their draft picks back?
It depends. If you have a plan, stick with it because the plan is working. You're
'Cause they're
winning
getting-
games. You're going to win at this rate. They're going to win 25 games,
Give or take. And if they get
25
Russell back, it could be more.
Yeah, it
I
could be
mean,
more. It could be 30. And if it's 30, then you're looking at maybe like a 10th pick or an 11th pick, and that's not that awesome. And then that Kyrie trade looks even worse, to be completely honest with you, right? Because the 10th pick is not worth Kyrie. So I think they should just stick with what you're doing. It's working. It's not working. You're not winning championships, but it's working.
But the one thing I do like about what the Nets are doing is, you're seeing guys like even guys off the bench like Joe Harris, Damari Carroll. These guys are all playing pretty well. Same thing with Jared Allen, the first round pick. Had a great game last night against Atlanta, even though Atlanta's a terrible team.
Right.
So in that sense, yeah, I mean, at this point I want to stick with the plan of just developing the young guys because look, the Nets aren't going to be a playoff team anyway this year. I don't think at the end of the day they will.
Right.
And the goal of this season should just be making sure that pick is not like a killer like last year's number 1 overall pick was.
Right.
So in that sense, yes, I agree with you. I think they should stick with the plan of developing young talent. If you see a trade along the way where maybe you can get a first round pick back from like a team in the bottom, like maybe somebody wants Trevor Booker, maybe somebody wants, one of the other guys, I would definitely do that trade in a heartbeat just to get another young player. But at this point, I think they need to really stick with the plan because it is working. It's just going to take a little bit longer. Call us, 516-945-9099. We are the Polar Opposites. He's Matt, I'm Craig. We have hit the halfway point of this show. And Matty, it's time for halftime. Here we go. Here are 4 topics most likely nobody's talking about right now as we've hit the halfway point of the show. Here we go, Matty. Are you ready?
Sure. Let's do it. I'm ready for anything.
Here we go, Matty. Number 1, the Marlins are trying to unload Giancarlo Stanton and his massive contract, but Stanton has a full no-trade clause and is only willing to waive it to go to a West Coast team. However, the Marlins have told Stanton that if he refuses to waive his no-trade, they will basically trade everyone else around him and keep him in Miami. So the question now becomes, do you consider this an ultimatum, or are the Marlins actually using leverage they may actually have?
I don't think it's an ultimatum. I don't think they have a choice. I think if Stanton doesn't want to leave, they gotta trade the rest of the guys because they can't afford them. So look, if you're Giancarlo Stanton, like the only reason you stay in Miami right now is because the taxes are going to kill you. That's the only reason to stay there. Seriously. Because other than that, you would want to go to San Francisco. You have a chance to actually win. I know you don't know what that's like, Giancarlo, because you've been in Miami for a long time. But if you go to the Giants, you can actually win something. So why don't you? The fact that it's taking this long for you to do this is ludicrous to me.
I can't tell if Giancarlo Stanton wants out of Miami, like he's demanding a trade, or they're just
I
like
don't think
trying to
he
get
is.
rid of him. And the thing is, I don't think he is either. I think he wants to stay there.
He does,
But the
but-
problem is that Jeter's trying to cut payroll.
Dude, Jeter,
I
man.
mean, and the thing is
Jeter's
that,
turned into
can you
a
imagine-
cold-blooded
I know.
killer, dude.
And it took all
that
the
guy. That guy
and
is
it took-
unbelievable.
But the thing is I think in a way the Marlins may have a little leverage because they're like, listen, you can either be on a terrible team here while we figure it out and you're going to waste your years, or go to a contending team regardless of the city. And if that's the case, if I'm Stanton,
I won't go regardless of the city. I'll go to a team that's going to.
well, I want to go to
win.
a contender.
Yeah, and
That's
I know
what
the
mean.
Giants were bad last year,
Okay.
but they're contenders, right? Would you? Agree
I
with
think
that?
they're going to be contender with Bumgarner back next year, and they're going to make some moves, I think, to strengthen the offense a bit.
I
But
agree.
I mean, between
Well, if they
St.
get
Louis,
Stanton.
what do you think? Cardinals, okay? Cardinals, Yankees, Red Sox, any of those teams,
He's not going to the
Dodgers.
Yankees.
You should be wanting to go to the Dodgers if you go to the Dodgers. But whether the Dodgers have anything to trade at this point,
If you're Giancarlo Stanton, you should want to go to the Red Sox. You know how many home runs he hit over that stupid wall? It'd be ludicrous. Number 2, after only one season in Memphis, the Grizzlies have fired head coach David Fizdale, and assistant coach J.B. Bickerstaff will take over on an interim basis. Memphis is currently 8-15, but snapped a 10-game losing streak, beating the Timberwolves last night. Rumors started circulating that Marc Gasol influenced the decision after not giving Fizdale a ringing endorsement after the recent loss to the Nets. But Gasol has denied that this is the case. Craig, did the Grizzlies fire Fizdale to keep Marc Gasol happy?
I don't necessarily think they did, but I definitely think they took his opinion into consideration because he's their best player, right? Next to him and maybe Mike Conley. So if that's the case, fine. The thing is, you only gave the guy a year, and he's playing in the Western. They're in the Western Conference. Memphis is never going to be that good of a team to compete with Oak City, even though Thunder have been terrible this year. But the Rockets, the Warriors, and the list goes on and on. The Grizzlies have had the same team forever, what it seems like, with Gasol and, like I said, Gasol and Conley, and the rest of the team isn't really that good.
Always like a 5 seed, a 6 seed.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know.
hovering around that time. The thing is, they're off to a bad start already because they just had a 10-game losing streak. They finally won last night to beat the Timberwolves. So in that sense, part of me thinks that Gasol, he didn't like bluntly say get rid of him, but I think all this was going to do was just make a bad situation worse as the season went on. And I think in that case, they did what they had to do and just cut Fizdale just to keep him happy because, listen, he is their best player.
Right.
At the end of the day, they paid him a lot of money, gave him a max deal. They want to keep him happy, and if that means getting rid of Fizdale, so be it. Because as we say on this show, whether you listen to our podcast or watching us on Strong Island TV, the players run the NBA. The owners don't run the NBA. The GM does not run the NBA. And I dare somebody to challenge that and argue that because you will lose.
And don't get me wrong,
Okay.
Drew Holiday doesn't run the NBA. But like LeBron James,
Steph
Dwayne
Curry.
Wade, Steph Curry, those guys run
They
the NBA.
run the NBA.
And I know Drew Holiday's a max player, that's why I used him. He's one of the only max players that doesn't run the NBA.
And wherever these guys want to go, they will go at the end of the day. End of story. Number 3, Maddie, the Denver Broncos are suffering through a miserable season, currently 3-9 with no legitimate solution at the QB position, and they recently fired offensive coordinator Mike McCoy. However, one NFC assistant who prefers to be unnamed sees the problem with the Broncos lies with John Elway, who he deemed, quote, a coach killer, and the job in Denver as a, quote, death trap. Elway replaced John Fox after the 2015 season, even though he won 38 games in his last 3 seasons and also got them to the Super Bowl. Maddie, is the demise of the Broncos tied to the QB position or the man making the personnel decisions?
As with everything else, it's sort of 50-50, right? It's both. I mean, it's the QB position is bad, but there are other holes that they have, and that's John Elway's fault. Now, you could say the QB position is John Elway's fault too, which I agree with, but that's also on the coaches for not developing these guys as well. So I think it's a little bit of both. I do think there is a problem you're going to have. If you fire the coach now, you don't want to be known as a team that nobody wants to go to work for. Like, if people want to go to work for the Browns more than they want to go to work for your team, you have a problem. So I think there is a problem here, but unfortunately, I don't know. He's not going anywhere. So either he's got to change or something's got to change, but they were riding a wave from the previous regime, and then they ended up winning the Super Bowl, even though Elway sort of gets credit for that one.
He's an icon in Denver, so he won't go anywhere unless he forces himself out, meaning he just decides he doesn't want to do it anymore. I don't think he's going to get fired by the owner, because this is what happens sometimes when you hire former icons for the team. Like we said, when Jason Kidd took the job at the Nets, and then he tried to kind of strong-arm them into taking on more personnel decisions, and he wound up going to Milwaukee. It's the same thing with John Elway. You risk the relationship being strained on a permanent basis, not even just temporary. Here's the thing. I didn't like Vance Joseph as a coach to begin with. I thought after 1 year as defensive coordinator, I didn't think he was good enough to be that. And on top of that, he never really addressed technically did address the quarterback situation, but Paxton Lynch is a disaster as a quarterback. He hasn't been good in 2 years. He looks completely lost. And then on top of that, Trevor Siemian and Brock Osweiler have been terrible too. So that I don't necessarily pin 100% on Elway, but I think it's just this thing of kind of winning with defense only, and your defense is getting shredded every week. They got torched by Miami.
Right.
Even though I know one of those was special teams touchdown, but still. The fact is they have no running game, they have no quarterback. You're not going to win a lot of games without that tandem, because at least if you had a running game, it can offset your deficiency at quarterback. But in that sense, Denver always seems like they have a defense that's going to hold everybody, and it's never going to do that.
I agree. The Lakers are enforcing a new rule that forbids reporters from loitering around the family and friends section at Staples Center during Laker games. Staff around the arena are labeling it the LeVar Ball rule. A Lakers spokesman said that this is merely for privacy concerns, as there's been more media reports saying that in the past, which pretty much is because of Ball. In a recent interview with Bleacher Report, Ball said the Lakers coaching staff is soft and has no way to coach my son. We have a caller right now, which we're going to take, so I'm going to turn the music down. What's your name and where are you calling from?
They're gone.
Oh, they're gone. Okay, forget it. Sorry. Just very impatient, I guess. So, Craig, how long will LeVar Ball rule last?
10 minutes. And I'm being nice. Because he's always going to find a way to... It kills me every time. Here's the bottom line. He's always going to find a way to get to the media, right?
Right.
He's always going to find a way to talk to the media. He's going to find a way to rip the Lakers. He's always going to find a way to make it sound like his son is being coached poorly, or the team stinks, or whatever it is. It's going to go on and on. The Lakers aren't having a great season. Were they 8-15, 8-16 right now, or something like that? You're not going to get rid of LeVar Ball. This is what you paid for when you drafted Lonzo Ball, right? Because you got LeVar to go with it. And you're going to get his attitude and his brashness and all that stuff. And it comes with the territory, unfortunately. You got to deal with it. You don't have much of a choice. So 10 minutes. And the thing is, if he's not going to be in that section, he'll find another place to do a press conference, because the media will follow him wherever he goes.
And that's the problem. The real problem here is the media giving this moron a voice to speak with. He pulled his kid out of college because they suspended him for stealing in another country where the president and people in power had to get involved. So, you know what, LeVar, maybe you should take a break, because your kid's not playing well. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to be good, but he's not playing well right now. People are laughing at him, and it's been terrible. So, you know what, LeVar, I know that people interview you, but I'll never watch any of those interviews, because you're useless to me. To be completely honest with you, I don't care. But here's the point. I wouldn't care what Steph Curry's dad had to... Well, Del Curry was a player, so I'll care what he had to say. But you understand what I'm saying? I wouldn't care what any player's dad had to say. I don't care.
We've said it on the show a few times, like on our podcast and on this show. LeVar Ball lives vicariously through his kids, because basically he didn't really matter. He didn't really amount to much, right? He wasn't a very good NFL player. NBA. So his son... I thought he was an NFL player.
NBA.
Okay.
He played in college. I don't even know if he played in the NBA.
Okay, I stand corrected. So at this point, he's just going to live vicariously through his son Lonzo, because Lonzo could be a stud, and LeVar isn't, right?
I agree.
And that's pretty much it. So you're going to keep getting this the whole year, but this is what you had this is what you paid for when you drafted Lonzo, and you're going to give him a contract.
I agree.
You're going to deal with LeVar every day, just running his mouth for no apparent reason. And as long as he keeps doing it and the media keeps fighting on it, he's always going to have something, an ad in the paper or article in the paper, regardless of where it is.
I agree.
Halftime is over. We are the Polar Opposites. Call us 516-945-9099. Apologies to the caller who tried to call in.
I didn't hear the thing
but
over the music.
If you want to call back in,
apologize.
call in. Here's what we're going to do now.
Yes.
We have about 8 minutes until Polar Bipolar finishes us up. So as we said before, we were talking about the Giants. We were talking about what was going on with McAdoo and Reese. And what we see with the media is the media has a tendency to think that they have the perfect plan to fix the Giants. Okay? It could be 2 steps. It could be 5 steps. It could be 20 steps. It could be a week-long article on how to do it. But the media is always right, and the people who run the teams are always wrong. So we're going to put this to the test.
Yes.
I've pulled an article from Gary Myers from the New York Daily News, printed this morning. a 10-step plan to fix the Giants. Matty has a buzzer.
Yes.
If it buzzes, Matty hates the idea. If he has a bell, Matty likes the idea.
Indeed.
My gut feeling tells me if I had to put money on this, and if you bet with me, you lose, my gut feeling tells me on this one, the buzzer's going to be more than the bell.
A couple times.
So here we go, Matt. Are you ready?
Indeed.
Do you want to go 10 to 1 or 1 to 10?
Let's do one. Let's no 10 to 1. I
Okay.
want one to, I really want to,
Okay. Number
Yeah.
10.
Yes.
Lowering ticket prices by 4%.
Every team should do this anyway. Just do it. You're making enough money. You don't need my money. Sorry, that just happened. Autoplay. But I'm telling you, Bell, because you're making too much money. Give some of the money back to us. You guys are sharing all this money. When do we get some of the money?
Okay. Number 9.
Every team should do that, though, not just the team.
Every team should do it, but as long as they have PSLs and they all have all
Oh,
this
screw 'em.
garbage, it's the people are
gonna
going to
happen.
be fleeced out of money.
Never gonna happen.
And the thing is like that's what I love about like StubHub because you buy tickets for nothing.
Sometimes,
Rather
or
than
you get
spending-
robbed.
Well, it depends on the team, though.
Right.
If you're a team like the Cowboys, you're going to be paying your mortgage.
Yeah.
It's going to be a mortgage payment.
I agree.
If it's the Jets, you're okay with spending $25. Number 9.
Yes.
Release Brandon Marshall.
Um.
Oh, stop. Give me a break. This
I'm
is not
doing-
even an original plan. This is like not even an original
but
idea.
here's the thing. I agree with that because I think that I don't. You brought him in this year for something and it didn't happen. Now, whatever the reason it didn't happen, he's still going to be like a 34, 35-year-old wide receiver coming off and a leg surgery, ankle surgery.
Okay.
So I'm not saying because of what happened this year. I'm just saying that I think I can approximate what Brandon Marshall can give me with somebody younger and more athletic.
Okay.
That's my point.
All right, Maddie.
Yes.
Number 8. If Davis Webb is the guy, draft Saquon Barkley.
Yes. No.
Finally.
No. Draft an offensive lineman. How many? Follow the bouncing ball. Offensive lineman. Offensive lineman. Next one.
Okay. Number 7.
Saquon Barkley. How's Saquon Barkley gonna get yards if nobody's blocking for him? You idiots.
Remember, this is one guy.
I
This
know.
is one
it's
guy.
Gary Myers an idiot.
Okay. If this was Meta,
Idiot.
we'd have
Oh, if
to
it's
do the
Manish Mehta, I'd put my face through a wall.
Number 7. Shuffle the offensive line.
Yes, but not because of the reason you think.
Okay. Now, here's his plan. Move Eric Flowers to right tackle. Mm-hmm. Re-sign Justin Pugh.
Yeah,
Keep him at left guard.
sure. Sounds
Draft
fantastic.
Ohio State guard center Billy Price at the top of the second round.
because that's guaranteed.
And re-sign guard center Brett Jones.
Yep, sure.
Now, there's one person missing, and that's the left tackle. and
Yes.
That will be my next.
Yes, who does he want to be the left tackle?
Number 6.
Yes.
Sign Patriots left tackle Nate Solder.
No! No.
I knew this was a good bit when I thought of it.
No. Younger than him. Not as have been injured so many times. And also, I'm not a big fan of guys who leave the Patriots. Very rarely do they become good again.
Number 5, and
Yes.
this one is blatantly obvious,
Sure.
but whatever.
Can't wait.
This is Gary Myers.
Yeah.
Sign Odell Beckham long term.
I don't care. Yes. He's
I mean,
good.
like, what do you think? They're not going to let him go.
But here's the thing. Tone it down a little bit and re-sign him. There you go. Done.
Okay.
This is the fact that that's one of them. It's like his editor said, you got to come up with 10, and he had 9. He was like, I'll just say I sign Odell.
All right, here we go. Number 4. Hope Sam Darnold tries an Eli Elway power play. Meaning Eli got drafted by the Chargers and
Oh,
he
so
wanted.
he's saying like if the Browns are first and Sam Darnold's like, oh, I'm gonna go play. I don't want to play for the Browns.
I want to be traded.
I mean, mostly because like, who the hell are you, Sam Darnold? Like, sorry. Like, to be fair, who was Eli Manning? But like, it worked out for him. So you could try that if you want. But I don't hope that because I don't think Josh Rosen is worse than you. I don't think Baker Mayfield is worse than you. I don't think the kid, I'm missing a kid.
Mason Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph is worse than you. It's not like when it was Eli and where if Eli didn't want to come to New York, the Giants were taking Ben Roethlisberger. That's who they were taking. So they had a choice, and they have a choice this time. So there it is.
Number 3.
Do it.
Convince Eli to stay. And let me before you jump in, this is what I'm going to say about this. It's amazing how everybody has kind of made him the problem. Like, almost like in a weird way, like saying it's just the way it's been built up. Now, listen, it's not
It's the
Eli's
people who
fault that the
haven't
Giants are
watched Giants
bad.
games
The
who
thing
have
is,
done that, though.
it's not Eli's fault, but it's almost like they're looking for a scapegoat to give him a reason to draft Darnold or Rosen.
Well, no, though,
and
that's-
Eli's not the problem.
No, and if you watch Giant games, you know he's not the problem. Now, the problem with Eli is that he is such a statue. That's why you need offensive linemen, because he has to be able to stand back there, which is why you saw Geno making some more plays, because he has the ability to run and step out and outrun guys. Eli doesn't have that. That's why I need offensive linemen. Why I would tell him to come back is that this team isn't as far off as people think. They're just not. If you can get some of these guys back healthy, the reason the offense was sputtering at the beginning of the year was because Odell was hurt for the entire preseason.
Yeah.
And so was Brandon Marshall. They never got to play with each other. So bring him back, take a run, and then in 2 years, you do it again.
I think it's time. I think we need to do the buzzer bell for polar bipolar. I think that would be pretty good. What do you think?
We can try.
If we can remember. Number 2.
Yes.
Hire Josh McDaniels as coach. What the hell was that?
That was like half the bell. Nah, this is a bell. I'm going to play it again. Yes. Now, it doesn't have to be him, but it has to be somebody like him. So it doesn't necessarily have to be Josh McDaniel, but it has to be somebody like him. Somebody who understands all phases of the game and not just, which is why I would be okay with a special teams coach coming in and being the head coach.
Well, here's-
because special teams coaches usually end up being good head coaches.
Well, of course, I was listening to The Fan this morning.
Okay.
And guess who they're pushing for the job?
Joey Tribbiani.
No.
Sorry, who?
Cower.
He's not coming back. Why would he
the
come
buzzer.
back? Why would he come back? Why? He sits in the office on Sunday, gets paid $1 billion to talk about it. Why? One more.
All right, number 1.
Yes.
And you have approximately 2 minutes.
I got you.
Hire Dave Gettleman as general manager.
No.
Why not?
You look at one place. You go to New England, and you take their assistant GM, and you make him your GM. Because you go to a team that has depth. You go to a team that has depth, and you look at why they have depth. It is because their GM makes good draft choices. That's what I need. I don't need a freaking flunky from a team that lost in the Super Bowl.
So how many buzzers was that and how many bells?
I think it was even 5-5.
Oh, so
But the Odell one doesn't count. That's nonsense.
well, there's a couple that don't count.
Yeah, but the Odell one especially
The
doesn't.
Brandon Marshall one was probably going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be back with the team next year, right?
No.
I mean, most likely. So in that sense, well, Gary Myers, 50%.
Yeah, and
which
that's not
means
even that good.
That's not going to fix
No.
the Giants.
No.
Sorry, buddy.
Sorry. You
Matty?
and Manish Mehta. Out.
We have about approximately 10 minutes left.
it.
If you want to call in, 516-945-9099 as we round out the show with our polar bipolar segment. Maddie, hit the music. The polar bipolar segment rounds out our our show for the week. Man. I'm all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
It is 10 topics. Polar, you agree. Bipolar, you don't agree. I don't think we'll get the buzzer or the bell, but
I don't
it'd be
think it's
pretty
gonna
cool
work.
if we did. But that's okay. And again, this is the segment that I'm guaranteed that Maddie's going to mess up at some
Sure,
point,
at some
right?
point, yes, absolutely.
Maddie, are you ready?
Yes.
Maddie, number 1.
Yes.
Thanks to the Greg Schiano mess, the job at Tennessee is officially toxic.
Well,
Polar or bipolar?
Polar, because what? When 10 fans can bring up something that happened 70 years ago or make something up, and the AG's like, oh, I'm going to listen to these 10 fans instead of my own eyes and ears, then yes, it's absolutely toxic because the fans control you, not your boss. And that's the scariest thing you could be in the world, right? Letting fans make decisions is the worst possible thing you could ever have happen in sports. It's just that simple.
Tennessee has tried to recruit 5 coaches. They've all turned it down.
Well, I
to
would.
the point that one of the names that's being mentioned is Casey Rogers, the Jets defensive coordinator, because he went there.
Nice.
So there you go. That's how low it has gone for Tennessee.
I'll coach you, Tennessee. Alabama deserves to be in the college football playoff despite not being in their conference title game.
I thought about this, and I'm going to say polar because basically Alabama's only lost 1 game, and that was to Auburn.
Right.
And Auburn was the 6th team in the country, and that was on the road.
Right.
Okay? Outside of that, now granted, I know Alabama doesn't play the toughest competition. I understand that part. But at the same time, Ohio State has 2 losses, because a lot of people are pushing for Ohio State. Ohio State has 2 losses and got their doors blown off by Iowa, an unranked team. Okay? Even though that game was on the road. So So as much as I respect the fact that Ohio State won their championship game, I still think Alabama out of the 4 is probably top 2 right now in the college football playoff. So I'll take that. And in that sense, they shouldn't be punished because they lost one game to a ranked team like Auburn, who wound up getting their doors blown off by Georgia in the championship game. So in that sense, yes, I do think Alabama deserves to be in it, so I'm going to say Polar.
Done.
Maddie, number 3, polar or bipolar. The demise of the Cavaliers was greatly exaggerated.
Is LeBron James on the team?
Of course.
Then the answer is polar. It was greatly exaggerated. As long as LeBron James is on that team, they will at least be a 2 or a 3 seed, and they will make it to at least the conference championship every single year.
And how many?
And that's just fact.
How many they won? 14?
Yeah,
It's
something like
13
that.
or
I
14.
gave
They're
up.
almost catching up to Boston.
I gave up after 7. Number 4, the Sixers are killing Jahlil Okafor's trade value.
Absolutely polar. And the thing is like, well, I don't really know what Jahlil Okafor is anymore because he's pretty much inactive half the time.
Right.
He's not even in the rotation anymore. And the thing is like, I understand the Sixers are playing well. I mean, they're 13-9. They're 4 games over. Simmons has been really good for them. And when they get Fultz back, it'll be even better. But the thing is that why waste a guy like Jahlil Okafor on the bench as just the coach's decision to DNP? You got to either get him in the game, get him minutes to at least show off what he can do, or just get rid of him, buy him out. But the Sixers don't even want to buy him out.
Nope.
They don't want to trade him, or they don't want to buy him out. And what they're going to probably ask for is a package that no team is going to pay because Jahlil Okafor really doesn't have much value because he doesn't play. End of story. So in that sense, get him on the court so you can at least get something back from him at this point. Maddie, number 5, polar or bipolar. Adam Gase calling for an onside kick up 33-9 against the Broncos in the 4th quarter was really douchey.
Yeah, totally polar. No, I don't hate it. But it is super douchey. Like, we're talking like mega douchey, like driving an IROC Z with a gold chain and Z Cavaricci's douchey. Like, that's how much douche we're talking right now. So yes, it's absolutely douchey. I don't hate it. You're professionals. Stop them. That's the way it is.
But does this go back to the whole John Elway thing? Almost like he's a coach killer and maybe Gase was taking it personal because of them getting rid of Fox or whatever. Do you think
they always liked Adam Gase there, didn't they? Didn't they try to make him the coach or
but
something?
when you do something like that, it's kind
I
of
don't
personal,
know.
right?
I mean, whatever.
You
But
know-
you know what? It's going to
You're
come
going to
back.
be 24.
Yeah, but you know what? Fine. Maybe the other team's coming back. I don't know. Maybe it was because of Elway. It could have been. I didn't see it that way, but I thought it was great. Number 6, it's still way too early to label Jimmy Garoppolo.
Garoppolo.
I know what it is. Jimmy Garoppolo, a franchise QB.
Polar, and the reason why I say that is because as soon as the game on Sunday, where the Niners won, but he didn't throw a touchdown in the game, he just threw for a lot of yards, everybody's like, well, the Niners found their quarterback of the future, and maybe he will be a good quarterback. But the jury's still out, in my opinion. Because against the Chicago Bears, a bad team, you couldn't even throw a touchdown. You led them to 5 field goals, and you barely won the game. So in that sense, and you threw a pick in that game. Now look, he's only been with the team for a few weeks, so maybe this is the start of something to come. And maybe if the Niners have better weapons, he might be a better quarterback. But there's no way I'm going to label this guy a franchise quarterback right now just because everyone else is. He's just not ready for that. He'll get the money at the end of the day, but I don't think he's good enough at all. Number 7, polar or bipolar. Shohei Ohtani and his agent wasted a lot of teams' time with a questionnaire when it's obvious he wanted to go to the West Coast.
This is totally polar. I don't have a problem with you not wanting to come to New York, to Boston, to play in those media markets. I don't have a problem with you wanting to play on the West Coast. I don't have a problem with any of that. What I have a problem with is you saying that, oh, I'm going to meet with these teams and get them to give me all this crap and make me feel special so I can just tell them no. Nobody cares, but just say it. Just say it. Now listen, we're New Yorkers and we get pissed when people don't want to come here, so we're going to call you soft and we're going to call you weak. And we're going to call you all these things, and it's just because we're pissed that you don't want to come here. So take it as a compliment, not as a slight. But you know what? Don't be a jerk, because now I want you to lose wherever you go.
But did he really think that teams like Tampa, Oakland, Kansas City were going to have these great plans for him?
No, but just it's the Yankees and the Red Sox. Like, you wasted their time. It's time they could have been doing other things, and you wasted for no reason. Number 8, Andrew Luck is damaged goods at this stage of his career.
You know, I'm going to say bipolar. I think Andrew Luck can play, but it's no secret that the Colts have really screwed him up. Oh, God. I mean, the fact is that it's more from a psychological perspective, and I'm going to take that because he's gotten hit so many times that he has no trust in his offensive line right now to even get rid of the football for more than 3 seconds. It's kind of like with Eli. When Eli's offensive line is bad, he definitely tends to force more throws because of that. The fact is, though, right now, is I definitely think I don't think he's damaged goods. I think he needs to go to another team. Because I think as long as he's with the Colts, his career is going to be cut short by like 5 or 6 years.
I agree.
Easily. Number 9, Maddie, polar or bipolar. It is morally irresponsible for Applebee's to offer $1 Long Island iced teas during the holidays.
Yes, polar. Yes. Don't what? Yes. No, I mean, yes, you should. First of all, how are you allowed to do that? Secondly, how can you afford to do that? That's a lot of liquor. Are they this big? Is it like in a like a cup you get like the mouthwash in at the dentist?
It's
like,
it's a $10 drink. They're charging
$1 for it. You are going to cause so many accidents. It's going to be insane because people are just going to drink and then they're going to drive and they're going to be wasted and it's going to be your fault, Applebee's. Thank you for doing something stupid.
This is a desperate ploy by a restaurant that's really fading fast. Right?
Like, come on,
the chain
guys.
restaurants are starting to fade.
Guys, listen, here's the thing. If you want to offer $2 chicken wings, if you want to offer, $2 hamburgers, if you want to offer something like food-wise, fine. Dessert, fine. Beer, I'll even give you beer because it takes a lot of beer to get people wasted. Long Island iced tea is every white liquor in a glass with ice and a smidge of Coke. Okay? So that's going to get people wasted. You're going to have people vomiting all over the place. It'll be brutal. And guess what, Applebee's? You're going to deserve everything you get because your place
Quickly,
sucks.
what's worse, $1 Long Island iced teas or KFC bath bombs?
$1 Long Island iced teas. Number 10, if you ever took a trip to Mars, the first thing you'd want is a Budweiser.
Oh, bipolar? Are you kidding me?
Oh, God,
It's like drinking panther piss.
I would, yes.
I don't know what I would want. I've seen Total Recall to know that I don't want to go to Mars, like ever, because people are just going to suffocate and it's going to be just no air whatsoever and all that stuff.
Out.
And
It's
you're going to
insane.
have Quado running things and we just can't have that. No, I don't know what I'd want, but I sure as hell know I wouldn't want a Budweiser.
No, and if it has to be beer, it would never be Budweiser. What I would really like, once I made it to Mars after the 6-month journey it takes to get there, would be a nice little glass of Johnny Walker Blue. Hook it up, NASA. You just spent $60 billion to send me to Mars, and all you're gonna give me is a Budweiser?
And if you're gonna have a beer there, you're gonna have Stella, plain and simple. And with that, Polar Bipolar is officially over. And this episode of Polar Opposites is over. And we'd like to thank everybody for watching us on Strong Island TV. We really appreciate it. Check us out, polaropposites.podbean.com, iTunes, Spreaker.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at PolarOpposites1. Our next show on Strong Island TV will be Tuesday night, December 19th, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. So call in. Again, polaropposites.podbean.com, iTunes, Spreaker.com, TuneIn Radio. Follow us on Twitter at PolarOpposites1 and like and share our Facebook page. Enjoy the weeks, enjoy the games, enjoy life, enjoy everything. And we will talk again on December 19th right here on Strong Island TV.
Bye.